Hello, lords and ladies. Welcome back to Cartoon Hangout, your place for all things cartoon. The Legend of Vox Machina. I didn't know much about Critical Role or their campaign going into this new show of theirs, but after the first 2 episodes, I'm hooked. It's so damn good, honestly. With an opening that grips you from the start and how startling brutal it is, to the fluid as hell animation and an amazing group of characters you almost immediately feel attached to, I can tell whoever made this show put a ton of effort into it. I spent most of the first episode feeling super excited, which isn't a feeling I get to have too much these days, especially about cartoons. The story centers around the Vox Machina group: Vex, Percy, Pike, Vax, Keyleth, Scanlan, and Grog. They're essentially a merry band of mercenaries, although very much down on their luck at the start of the show. Episodes 1 and 2 do a stand-up job of letting you get to know this group as they take on a deadly contract involving a mysterious creature destroying various villages and farmlands. Like, for only 2 episodes of screen time, they already come off fully fleshed out. Some shows spend forever getting their characters three-dimensional. This one hits it out of the park in an episode or 2. With how well written they already are, it just makes me all the more hyped to continue watching the show and seeing what more there is to learn about this group. I wonder if it helps that the show is being adapted from something, as opposed to them just being written from the ground up. I don't really know. Now, I really enjoyed the plot of these first episodes. There's this really low moment for Vox at the beginning of episode 1, where Keyleth questions why a group like them is even together, since they're so fucked up. Scanlan's just in for the ladies, Vex and Vax for the money, etc. And by episode 2's end, it comes full circle, and they realize that them being fuck-ups can kind of work for them as a strategy. Who knew you could throw in some lessons in a bloody adult cartoon? Although, that particular lesson, your mileage might vary in real life. Another plus in the story department is there was a part near the end of episode 1 that nearly had me in tears. It was so well crafted, so emotional, and it was really unexpected. I figured the show would be comical, maybe dirty. I didn't think it would try to break my heart. Apparently, one reviewer out there criticized how the lines between the comedy and the serious moments get blurred a lot in this show, but at least with episodes 1 and 2, I don't really see it. Maybe later it'll become more of a problem, and it'll end up like that What If Zombies episode of Marvels that I reviewed a few months ago. Actually, speaking of the comedy, it was really great in these first couple of episodes. It's what got me hooked with the trailer, beyond the stunning animation and it being a new decent-looking action series. There was the sandwich scene, the guards with the bear, Grog and Scanlan spying on this one dude, and plenty more that I can't be bothered to list because that'd be kind of tedious and ruin it. You should go see it for yourself. I think what helps series that have darker moments like Vox Machina is being able to get your audience to laugh a little before you serve them up some more serious stuff later. Something that just reads heavy from start to finish is exhausting mentally, and it's not too much fun. Luckily, this doesn't seem to be that type of show. And I think The Terror of Tal'Dorei does an amazing job at balancing this. You go from the group being in somewhat high spirits, having a new job, to them encountering the mystery monster, and shit suddenly gets real. They're almost killed, one of them seems to have a very traumatic experience, and in a pretty realistic moment, they agree to get the fuck out of Dodge, because dying honestly sucks. And considering by episode 2 we see what happens when you try to fight with honor, Vox made the correct choice here. It sets up that they aren't the most moral of groups, then delivers a 1-2 punch of a heavy moment when they see what the monster did to a village that they had just passed through earlier. Which obviously spurs the characters on, and leads to a really epic fight scene in episode 2. Some of the best animation I've seen since, Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but without being super stylized in order to do so. Especially this part with Grog, which I'll try not to spoil too much of the baddie. If this is the level of animation that we can look forward to from now on, I am excited as hell. I've always been a huge fan of action cartoons, going back as far as childhood, and while we are seeing a slight influx of them again. We used to have a ton more, so this just scratches an itch of mine. Plus, it's well written, unlike another action cartoon that had great animation, but not so much with the writing. With some cartoons, I'm very aware of how much time is left in an episode, because I'm having to force myself to keep going. With Vox Machina, it felt like no time had passed, and then the episodes were already over. And I wanted more. For me, that's a sign I'm definitely into a show. Now, I had a bit written here about the animation, but I think the last paragraph that I just did a good job summing up my feelings already, but just know, even out of action scenes, the show looks really good. I think I noticed one off-looking part in one of the episodes, but it's normal for cartoons to not give too much detail on faraway character models. It just stuck out for some reason. Now, if you thought the review was over, you were mistaken. Or you already noticed how long the video was and knew that there was probably more.
Clever girl.
I wanted to go over episode 3, The Feast of Realm. I'll probably sound like a broken record, but man, was this episode great. I've had quite a gap between writing about the first 2 episodes and this one, so I was worried I might view things differently, or that it would be hard to come back to, but luckily it didn't take long before I was legit on the edge of my seat. Feast of Realms picks up on that little bit at the end of episode 2, and gives us more background on Percy. Namely, that the above-mentioned Lord and Lady, Silas and Delilah, murdered Percy's entire family and assumed control over his home city. The group learned this later on in the episode, but the audience is clued in at the start, and it's not very difficult to figure out by his bad dream and his reaction to seeing the 2 rulers. For their part, the voice actors definitely help sell the otherworldly danger of Silas and Delilah, voiced by Mercer and Greg Griffin, the latter of whom Scooby-Doo fans will recognize as Daphne. Silas and Delilah make a great set of villains for this season. You easily love to hate them, and as much as I wanted to see them taken down a peg in the sick-ass fight scene we're graced with, I knew they were going to be a thorn for a lot longer. I rooted so hard for our heroes in that fight, but my god, did they get their butts handed to them. I guess fighting dragons is one thing, a necromancer and a vampire is completely different. Things weren't as straightforward as you might expect with the episode, but a little bit of mystery is injected. Yes, there's the nature of who these 2 are to Percy, but like I said, it wasn't really a big mystery to the viewers. But Vax manages to uncover a book that mentions the Whispered One, which, according to Wikipedia, is Lady Delilah's patron. Very mysterious and cool sounding, I'll admit. I'm really excited to find out what their plans ultimately were, and since they hypnotized the king, it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for our heroes, at least if episode's end is anything to go by. Oh, and what the hell was up with Percy in the end? That plague doctor's mask, those creepy shadows. Legit got goosebumps seeing that. Something is up with Percy, more so than just watching his family get massacred. He must have done something, signed some pact, I don't know what. I'm sure fans of Critical Role already know what that might be, or maybe this is new completely, but I can't wait to see more. Feast of Realms wasn't without its comedy either, despite the more serious tone of this one. Not to say the other 2 episodes weren't serious, but the writers are still knocking that aspect out of the park. The whole series of scenes with Vox Machina attempting to act sophisticated and laughably failing was really funny. So was Scanlan's song Distraction. I nearly skipped it at first because I thought it was going to be a little cringe, but I sat through it and it was good. Too bad his high came down when he sees his friends getting arrested at the end of the episode. And though I've touched on it above, I'll talk a bit more about the action for this episode. Somehow it tops episodes 1 and 2. I don't know how, but it does. There's so many great moments like Grog versus Silas, with the latter being on top for much of their fight until Pike holifies Grog's axe and manages to get in some damage. Yes, holy does beat unholy, after all. Too bad Delilah screws that up, and possibly for good if the cracked amulet thing is anything to go by. Every animation team, in my personal opinion, needs to watch this fight scene. I'm not trying to oversell it as the best animated scene in the history of animation, but it's amazing. It's well animated, obviously. It's tense and gets your blood pumping just watching it. You almost want to throw in a few punches of your own, as dumb as that sounds. Nothing seems out of place or silly. It just works.
It just works.
When I first looked into Vox Machina, while I believe I said I was interested in the show, I wasn't completely sure if I would be into it. I'm so happy to find out it's shaping up to be an outstanding cartoon. Fun characters, intriguing storylines, and killer animation. What else could you ask for? I definitely recommend this show to anyone looking for a cool action show. We don't get as many of these as we used to, though that is obviously changing, so consider giving it a watch. You could probably snag yourself a free trial to Amazon Prime and give it a test watch to see if you're a fan or not. Anyways, that'll be it for me on this one. I really love these first 3 episodes, and I'll probably keep watching it on my own, but if this video does well enough and you want more, I may continue reviewing this in the future. And before you leave, consider becoming a member to get videos much earlier, as well as other perks, if you're into that kind of thing. Thanks for watching, and take care.